You're listening to the Franchise Freedom Podcast with Giuseppe Grammatico.
Welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, your franchise guide, the show where we help corporate execs experience time and financial freedom via franchising. Thanks for joining us today. Today is a great topic, and this is another really popular one that I've received personally and that I read a lot online in the comments and questions and things like that, and in meetings when talking with family and friends. And it's along the lines of how to quit your 9 to 5. And it's an extremely popular topic. So thanks for the suggestion. Thanks for the question. And we're going to dive in. As I mentioned, we are gathering all your questions and answering them on each and every one of these shows and just sticking with really one topic. So how to quit your 9 to 5. There's no exact right or wrong, but we'll dive into some examples. And, in those examples, let's look at, why are you quitting in the first place? You can easily put your 2 weeks and leave. So what are we doing here? So it goes back. If you are looking to, for example, look to start a business because you don't like your job, or maybe it's that you just wanted to own your business. You just love the freedoms we talk about: time, financial freedom, purpose, freedom of purpose, freedom of location, freedom to work with the people you enjoy working with, the 5 freedoms outlined by Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach. Couple ways to look at it. Number one is there's no right or wrong, because it's going to be based off of what you're most comfortable with. And you need to do some, soul searching as to if you're mentally ready and financially ready. So when I started my business, I was to the point where I had looked at other jobs. I realized that other jobs, other companies were not the solution. I really wanted the freedoms, and no job was going to really be giving me that freedom I was looking for. This is going back 2005, 2006, and then started my first franchise in February of 2007. So I realized I did do some homework. So I took some time, some interviewing within the company, outside the company, different industries. I even said, let's try from investments and financial service to some other industries. And just, really found that it just wasn't for me. You read about it, but wanted to meet the companies, look at what my average day looked like. So for me, my wife had worked full time. We wanted to start a family, and I couldn't go on another day in the corporate environment. So I quit my job, started my business full time, and worked, quite a few hours in the very beginning to get to the point where, I was able to put a team in place. But we did have cash reserves, living expense. We cut down on the expense. At the time, it was just my wife and I. Just got married, just bought a home, a couple years prior. So we tried to keep the expense as low as possible, where the income covered, my wife's income covered everything, so that I can run my business, fund it, and have some leftover, just a little bit leftover every month, and had some cash reserves. I think we had 6 months cash reserves, extra income on there, just in case things took a little bit longer to launch. But I wanted to be full-time in the business. And that was just my situation. But, I don't recommend that to everyone. In other cases, people have the income, but they're just not comfortable putting that large amount down, or they prefer to, have the security of that job and income and the benefits that go along with it, the health benefits alone, and decide they want to run the business on the side. And that's perfectly fine. So with the how to quit your 9 to 5, basically I say have a plan and work in reverse. So you have the why and why you're doing this. We talked about that in a previous episode. So now we have the why. We know what the business looks like. We've already decided on all that. Now we decide, okay, if I'm more comfortable, having this business, I can run certain franchises specifically on the side. They're not all available to be run on the side, as certain franchise companies will have certain requirements on the involvement, but in many cases they can be. So the real thing is, what is the goal? Is the goal to be 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is? We'll say 6 months So it's really, factoring in, okay, in 6 months, you have a plan of attack. It's signing the franchise agreement, getting to training, hiring your key employee. Maybe that's a general manager. And then having that general manager run the day to day. But the trick here is empowering that GM so that they know what decisions they can make, so that they know that you're working throughout the day, that you're not available, between 9 and 5 at any time. Maybe it's just around lunchtime, so that they can make certain decisions throughout the day. So this gives you a 6-month runway. It allows you to get the business established. So get your legal entity, your franchise agreement signed and paid. It allows you to go to training, hire your key employee. Fast forward 6 months, you may have a full staff, an office if needed, or it's being run from home. Technology, all the infrastructure really set up to the point where now you are generating revenue. I'm not saying you're going to be profitable at this point. There's definitely the possibility you can be. There's also the possibility that you're just generating revenue. Maybe you're at break even. Maybe you're not at break even at that point. But the point is that the business is up and running, so that you can decide in that 6-month period, am I ready? And giving at least a 2-week notice. I'm big on that, right? Because you don't want to burn any bridges, and it's always the right thing to do. You as an employer will also expect that, hopefully longer than a 2-week, but you'd want your employees giving you, not just saying I quit today and now your salesperson's gone. So that really is, it's all about how comfortable you are and knowing all your options. So if you want to dive in full speed and leave the job, make sure you have the financial reserves. Make sure that you involve your family and letting them know what's going on, that you're going to be really busy that first year. May have to cut back on some expenses. That's fine. Maybe it's cutting back on cable. For my wife and I, we didn't eat out. We had taken a loan, so our goal was to pay that loan back as soon as possible. So we didn't travel as much. We didn't eat out as much. That's fine. Was it tightening the belt a little bit slightly, but big picture was completely worth it for the life we have today. So, no right or wrongs here. Going back to the investment, the cash reserves, you can reassess as well. If you're approaching month 5 and the business hasn't grown as quickly as you'd like, or you're not at you want it to be at a certain profitability or generating a profit, and at month 5 you're still kind of off and you anticipate it being at month 9, then you reassess and say, okay, let's put this on hold. Let's extend it. Maybe at month 8, I reassess, and if that 9 month is still in range, you put that 2 weeks notice in. Maybe it happens sooner. I've seen it in cases where in 3 months the business has grown significantly, and that person was able to leave their job. So, the biggest thing here is being respectful, giving your employer enough time, but giving yourself for that person that doesn't want to lose the health benefits right away, or that W-2 income. Take your time with it. You're maybe working 2 jobs, especially in the beginning. 40 hours of the job, and then figuring out the time to be putting into the business. So you work 9 to 5, get home, have dinner, and then maybe work 7 to 10, 7 to midnight on the business. Keeping in mind, this isn't forever. This is just to get your business launched while having, the benefit of having that paycheck coming in. So if it does take you longer, or the investment's a little bit greater, you hit some issues, you have those funds readily available. So I always tell someone, if you start a business and you're stressed out of your mind and don't know how you're going to pay rent the first month or pay your employees the first month, I'd say you're not in a great situation there, and really to increase the cash reserve. I've seen other cases where, and this is another option, where instead of wanting to hire a general manager and wanting to be more involved, discussing with the franchise company and saying, we're in May, so I need some time. You decide to buy the franchise, just say after all your due diligence is over the summer. The plan may also be to say, I'm not going to open my business until January 1. You get approval early on in the stage from the franchise company on that date. Find out when their next trainings are. And maybe the goal is not even to look at the financial performance of the business itself by having it running while you're working, but it's to say, I'm going to essentially work the rest of the year and launch my business January 1, giving my 2 weeks sometime in December. And that's another strategy of doing it. But the how-to is really simple. It's deciding if you want the business, right? If that's the best avenue for you, moving forward with the business, figuring out the time frame. If you're going to be involved initially and leaving your job, are you going to be involved 6 months down the road while the business is up and running, or you want to launch it at a future date? Those are things to really consider. Again, no right or wrongs, but make sure you have buy-in from the family, making sure that everyone knows why you're doing this. You're not doing this because you're bored or have nothing else to do. It's for the betterment, right, of the family financially. Maybe mom or dad could be home a lot more often, that kind of thing. Vacations, we can travel more because of this. I'm going to be around a lot more. I'm going to be at all the soccer games and the Girl Scouts and all that kind of stuff. So, getting the family involved, looking at the financials, making sure you have enough reserves there. A big part of this, by the way, coming from the investment world, is that I talk to a lot of people that have the money in there, and then the market, may have just a rough quarter, rough couple months, and their investment portfolio is cut in half. I think that was just a wrong strategy. I think that if your intention is to use the money you have in the investments for the business, you should not be heavily invested in the stock market. If your intention is to buy a business this year, you may want to start liquidating or going into cash. Yes, you can take loans on your investments, but at the same time, that is all reflective of what the portfolio is worth. So, just like I tell people when they're ready to retire, you shouldn't be 100% equities. Maybe you should have some fixed income there. You should have some stability, something generating some income. I tell everyone the same thing. If you're fully invested in the stock market, I'm a big fan of the stock market. I invest in the stock market. That's my first career. Definitely, you want to start scaling out and having some cash on hand, because at the end of the day, a franchise is going to cost money. Yes, having a large investment portfolio is great, but that could change daily. So have the cash on hand, covering the franchise fee. The FDD, the franchise disclosure document, is going to itemize the item 7, which is going to give you kind of a listing of the investments, a low range, a high range, and itemizing it. Franchise fee, technology, travel, training, working capital, marketing, if there's any build outs involved, if it's a physical location, or many cases, any vehicles, whether you buy or lease any equipment, they're going to itemize all that. So you're going to want to make sure you have the funds there. And most of the people I work with end up getting some type of loan, like an SBA loan, or if you're leaving your employer, using a retirement rollover business startup, so essentially retirement funds. So there are different funding strategies, and that's a whole nother episode, and we help people with. So having the money on hand, having the buy-in from the family, the why, and then what you're most comfortable with. This has to be enjoyable as well, with the mindset that it is going to be a very busy year. If you can handle the job and the business, great. If you want to dive in full time, great. But have a plan. Map it out and reverse engineer it. In 6 months, if I'm going to leave my job, what do I have to do today in order to make that happen? And in some cases, certain things are out of your control. And as I mentioned, at month 5, you realize you're just not there. So you extend it and you continue working the business on the side. The general manager, the main or a empowered employee is still continuing with their role. And you just put off the 2-week notice, with your employer, or however many weeks you want to give the employer. So these are more on the how-to specifically. As I mentioned, I left full time. My wife was working. Some people don't have that. They're the only income, person producing income in the family. So you might want to reassess. If you don't have any other income, do I have 6 to 12 months of savings that who's going to be paying your mortgage? Who's going to be paying your rent, your health insurance, food, entertainment, travel, car, all that fun stuff. So do some math. Take a look. What are your expenses? What are your savings? Where are the savings? Is it all invested in the market? Is it in cash? Where can we cut back? We cut back on going out to eat. We cut back on vacations. You could do that as well. We won't die if we don't have Netflix every month. So it's these little, tweaks that you can make to the lifestyle, and keeping the big picture in mind of what the ideal lifestyle and life will be. So guys, I hope you found this helpful. This is a very important topic. It's a topic we get all the time, but do things in a certain order. figure out the why, figure out if you really want a business and if a business is a good fit. And sometimes, it stops there. I challenge people, don't look into the types of businesses until you get the why down. And if a business, get educated on what a business is. A business has brought our life from, working, being miserable, working, for a big company, working all these hours, to living on our own terms. We're going to take an extended vacation to visit family. I get to work from home. If I want to take off, I take off. There's no one to report to. But there's risk involved. There's time. There's a lot of time put in, risk in the investment that was put in, but we had a plan and we had no plan B. I kind of said, you kind of just looking forward, no plan B. This thing has to work, but it has to be right for you. And you need to make sure it's strong enough to get you through the good times and bad times. Business ownership. Some people have some false information that they've received. I'm not sure where, internet, a friend, a neighbor, family member. But business ownership, whether it's a franchise or not, there's always that risk. I feel there's a risk, with being an employee, one income source, not in control of the company. You're not steering the ship and really relying on the people above you as to promotions and pay and things like that. But with the franchise itself specifically, I had someone say to me, I read that you can't lose money with a franchise, and that's absolutely false. That's a big myth. And a franchise is simply a business with a proven system, business structure, blueprint, giving you, from my book, I talk about the unfair advantage, getting you launched sometimes quicker because the strategies, the systems, I should say, are all in place for you. So give that some thought. I'm here to help. As I mentioned, nothing to sell aside from, we are here to help you figure out if a franchise it may be a good fit, if a business is a good fit. Our services are free. We're paid directly from the franchise companies. And I encourage you, invest 20 minutes of your time. We'll jump on a call, and I won't tell you. We will figure out together if a franchise may or may not be a good fit. And if it is a good fit, when I add this thing, I always forget to mention, if it is a good fit today, or if it's something where it's a perfect fit for what you're looking for, but financially, liquidity, net worth isn't there. It's something that we aim for in 12 months. Makes absolutely no difference. We will work on that together, put together a plan, and then put together a plan of staying in constant contact until you get to that point. So hope you guys found this helpful. Thank you very much for the questions and the comments. Looking forward to answering some more here, and we will talk soon. Take care and enjoy. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Whenever you're ready, here are 3 ways Giuseppe can help. 1. If you've ever considered owning a business of any kind, you owe it to yourself to get a copy of Giuseppe's book, Franchise Freedom. Download your free copy at ggthefranchiseguide.com/book. 2. Want to understand how successful executives make the transition from corporate to owning their own franchise? Join Giuseppe's next online presentation, Franchise Freedom: How to Escape the Corporate World and Have Financial and Time Freedom by Owning a Franchise, by going to ggthefranchiseguide.com/video. 3. Want to work with Giuseppe one-on-one to identify the right franchise opportunity for you, to navigate the process, and get plugged into experienced franchising advisors? Send him an email to gg@ggthefranchiseguide.com with one-on-one in the subject, and he'll send you all the details.